Hey, I want to thank everybody for submitting their questions into Exodus Band Official so that we could touch more closer with you guys, especially through the pandemic, because there's no concerts or anything going on. And I wish they had stuff like this when I was a kid. I would have loved to ask Bon Scott a question if that was possible. So I have my faithful producer here, Wayne, who's going to be reading the be reading the questions that you have, and I will be answering the best that I can. So take it over, Wayne.
George, Grindstone, Michigan. What song off your catalog you wish you could play live more often?
Probably something off of Impact, because we hardly ever, absolutely almost never play anything off of Impact. Maybe Within the Walls of Chaos or Lunatic Parade.
Rob Kirkland from England. What is your favorite Exodus album you are not on?
Obviously, Bonded by Blood is the favorite one because I'll always be a fan of that. But I love Exhibit B. I like to sing the songs on Exhibit B. All of the records are really great, but I love that one the most.
Scott Harrison, Downey. What songs from the Duke era do you think would be good for you to sing, or could you really tear into?
Actually, I love singing all of them, and I've done, I think, probably 10 to 12 of them live since I've been back in the band, and I like singing them, all of them. Ballad of Leonard and Charles and Iconoclasm are my favorite of the Duke songs to sing, so but I do like to sing them all, actually.
Luca Fiora added to the above. Do you find any of those era songs difficult to sing?
What's up, Luca? That's my boy. I love Luca. The only one that I had trouble with at first, and that was just in rehearsals, now by the time I sang it live, was Death Amphetamine. It's a really kind of anticipated verses in there, and you got to know when to come in. I'm listening for this little gallop that Gary does, and it took me a little while to get on the timing on that one, but that Death Amphetamine was, but I got it down now, and I love to play that one, actually. That's another one I love to play.
Claire, James Wilson from the UK, also Nate and Mark. What is your favorite song to sing live and why?
Hi, Claire and James. They're my friends. We talk from time to time on social media. They're big fans. My favorite song to play live? I love to play Deliver Us to Evil live. I don't know, that's a song when the guitar riff comes in after the first start of the song and just kind of opens it up before it starts to groove. To me, that's true Exodus. I mean, it was Exodus before I was even in Exodus, and that's what, to me, defines Exodus. So,
Anthony Hodo from Alabama. Which album do you prefer, Fabulous or Pleasures?
Pleasures was my first record, so it'll always hold very true to my heart. But I had The Way by Fabulous. I knew what I was doing. I had been in the band a couple of years now. We were clicking together very well. The songs, the structure, the sequencing, everything about Fabulous is great. So toss up there. I could go either way. I'm going to say Fabulous because it really pushed us over the top.
Mike Mesmer, what are your favorite things to do while not on tour or recording? Also, what are some of your biggest influences?
I do Zetro's Toxic Vault when I'm not recording. I have a Harley Davidson. I like to ride motorcycles. I'm a big movie guy. Everybody who watches The Vault knows that. I like to do that. I have 3 pugs that I hang out with. I like a lot of alone time where I'm not really dealing with any of the public or dealing with anybody, any certain fans. I'm just kind of on the down low, kind of with my family, my friends that I'm close with. So nothing too outrageous as you get, up in your ears. And I'm, 56, not too crazy anymore. A little bit though sometimes.
James Day, is music something you always wanted to do, or is it something you just fell into?
No, something I always wanted to do. Something I always felt like doing. Anybody who could tell you that knew me when I was a young kid, and I mean 4th, 5th, 6th grade, they knew that this is what. In fact, if I see these people now from time to time that knew me in kindergarten or 1st grade, they'll say, "Oh my God, we knew you were going to be this and do this." I had my first Led Zeppelin record and when I was 8 years old. So, I was destined for hard rock and heavy metal.
Chuck from Germany, what was your craziest, funniest story experience you had in Germany?
Craziest experience in Germany? There's so many because Germany's such a hub for Exodus. When we go to Europe, we do 8 or 9 shows in Germany every single time. So that would be hard to say. Only good times. I would have to say that all the times are good times. I don't know about too crazy. We never got arrested or anything in Germany. I never had any riots or anything. But on this last tour that we did, all of the German shows were great, especially Hamburg. They were just off the chain. It was so. Thumbs up to all you guys in Germany. Pat yourselves on the back. You're definitely Exodus fans.
Sam Carey from the UK and a couple of others. Who are your vocal influences?
Well, that's definitely apparent. Obviously, Bon Scott. Singers like Udo Dirkschneider. Guys, that sang more with a kind of a mean, evil raw. When you listen to their voice, it was very distinctive. But I loved AC/DC, Bon Scott, but also Wendy O. Williams, Johnny Rotten, Jello Biafra, but Lemmy, obviously. So many. Phil Lynott, Ronnie James Dio. I could go down the list. Ozzy and any of the old school, Robert Plant, any of the old school guys that I came up through in the 70s with, Ted Nugent, Scorpions and UFO, anything that I listened to at that time. Alice Cooper was all an influence on me and an influence on a structure on my voice and the vocal tone that I chose when I started singing heavy metal.
Maggie from Slovenia, what are your most memorable crowd moments? Which countries have the wildest crowds for each continent?
Okay, well, great that you from Slovenia asked this question, because the last time we played Metal Camp in Slovenia, this guy during the Wall of Death was standing in the center of the pit with no clothes on. Balls, everything just junk, just hanging right out. And I knew it, man, because they were like really, really far away from each other. And when they came in and went crash, this dude just got melted, and I could see him just get slammed, and he had no clothes on. So he had to catch something in the nuts, at least, But I didn't see him. As the crowd and the smoke cleared, I couldn't find him as I was looking out in the crowd, so I think he got swallowed. So,
Eric from Sweden, what is the weirdest, funniest thing you've seen in the audience?
I don't know about weird. For me, it's anytime girls try to pull their tops up. I guess it gets your attention. That's what they're looking for. But you got to remember, being in a thrash metal band, the crowd is just as, and if not more, entertaining than the band is. So for us to look out at you guys and watch the pits that you come up with sometimes, and the shit that you do in the pits sometimes. You don't know, but we're up there, like maybe in between a part where, say, Gary's in a lead. I'll walk up to Lee and I'll point him and I'll lean into his ear and go, "Look at those fuckers over there," you know what I mean, or something, or somebody, or Jack, or walk over to Gary, or even Cregan when Cregan was with us, and go, "Oh my God, look at what those fucking guys are doing over there, it's just like, and we look at each other and laugh like, oh my God, you know what I mean? And people, I'm sure people looking at the crowd, I wonder what they're talking about up there. Well, that's what we're talking about. We're looking at you guys and trying to react to it.
Tom DeFazio, if you could pick one band or singer that isn't metal that has influenced you over the years, who would it be?
Does that count punk? I guess nothing aggressive is what you're. So what you're saying is nothing aggressive. Kurt Smith, Roland Orzabel, Tears for Fears. That is a band that I've listened to. I've actually wrote some stuff that I wrote was off of a vocal thing that I heard from a Tears for Fears song. Now the way that I did it was different, but the idea came from what I heard on the song, and I liked it, and they did it a lot.
Bernardo from Mexico, how do you find your voice for Exodus? Like, which bands inspire you to sing that way?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I mean, probably, like Accept, Iron Maiden, early Iron Maiden, Motorhead, Plasmatics, AC/DC. Anything where the singer was very very growly at a pitch. I always took attention to that type of a frontman or that type of vocalist.
Chris Davis, who was your favorite band you had support you in the 1980s and the band in the 1990s?
Oh, that's a no-brainer. Pantera, for sure. Pantera opened for Exodus and Suicidal Tendencies when Suicidal had put out a record called Lights, Camera, Revolution, and Exodus had put out a record called Impact is Imminent. All of a sudden, this new band on the block called Pantera came in, and they opened up for the tour, and history went from them. That band became very huge and legendary, as all the players in the band.
Several people. What made you leave Legacy and join Exodus? And what involvement did you have or not have in getting Chuck to replace you?
It was a hard decision, definitely. I wouldn't probably have left for anybody else, but at the time, all of the bands that, like Legacy and Forbidden and Violence and any of the other bands in the Bay Area, they totally loved and respected Metallica, but everybody wanted to be like Exodus. Exodus was sheer brutality. Before I was in the band, or even after I was in the band, I remember going to Exodus shows where the line to get in the place was wrapped around the place twice. And the violence that was going to go on inside, they had to have, when Exodus would play Ruthie's Inn, before I was in the band, and I think we only played it maybe once after I was in, maybe not at all. Or maybe we did like an unannounced night. But I would go see there when Bailoff was singing, and they would have to have all of their friends stand on their knees, like Toby Rage and Rick's brother Lonnie, and like 8 guys, because there's so much flipping and shit going on that they couldn't play without people running into them, so they had to have people to throw them back because there was no barricade at this time. So when I got the call to join the band, and mind you, for a year before I was asked to join, and I was asked to join in early June of '86, there was always this speculation that Zetro was going to replace Bailoff in Exodus. It was heard. It was a rumor always around. It was something that I heard people brought to my attention and even asked me what would I do in that case. And obviously I was, Legacy was my band. And I mean, to this day, I still write music with them, and so I always feel this. I've always felt this close-knit thing to them. I used to refer to Alex and Greggy as my young sons. And I mean, those guys are just like, so everybody's kind of family, but to get to play in the band that created sheer violence and sheer brutality. This is the band that kick in your face and rape and murder your wife. And they called me. And so I felt very overwhelmed, and I was like, wow, and I felt very honored And I took it head on. I was like, yeah, well, I love this band. Let's do this if this can't do it. And as far as Chuck, yeah, I did. Because I remember I was out exercising, and I remember I seen him, and we were in our hometown of Dublin. He's like, damn, Zet, you're joining Exodus, man. I can't believe it. I go, yeah, you want to try out for Legacy? He's all, really? And I go, yeah. And he goes, thrash metal? And I says, yeah, man, you could do it. Because at the time, Chuck was playing in kind of like a power hair metal band called Guilt. They weren't really thrash. In fact, he never really played thrash before. So actually, when and I'm telling you the story because you asked, when the bands, we had an amicable split, and the first couple of practices or couple of weeks at Legacy rehearsal, I actually went there with Chuck and kind of showed him how I projected, the songs like Raging Waters and Burnt Offerings and Over the Wall and The Haunting, and songs that I had, Alone in the Dark, songs that I had already written for Legacy. So yeah, and look, but I think it's worked out great for everybody because Chuck is a very awesome frontman. He fits the band quite well. I mean, you guys wouldn't think of Testament without Chuck, would you? Exactly. So I think it worked out great. So there you go.
And Kit from India. How do you stay motivated?
I'm a ball of energy. I never say die. I'm not ready to die or check out yet. I have so many things that I want to do still, musically, professionally, in life. I mean, everything. And so I'm not ready by any means to check out. I believe when you slow down is when you start to think about having to check out or start those, and I'm not into that. I'm not at all. I'm very much into keeping going and keep pushing. If you're 90 years old and you go to the gym every day or go out walking, God bless you, if there's a God.
Kevin Brown, if you could go back in time and have just 5 minutes with yourself in 1985, what would you tell yourself from a musical standpoint?
Stop doing drugs and save your money. Right out of the gate. Are you kidding me? Yeah, stop doing drugs right now and save all your money and watch everything going in and coming out. 85, you said? Oh, God, yes. I'd be a gazillionaire if I knew that stuff. Where were you then? Damn it.
Kyle Myers from Ohio. What is the least metal obsession that no one knows about?
My least metal obsession that no one knows about? Musically? I wonder. I don't know. Probably the way that I talk to my pug dogs. I don't know. I guess if you saw that, you'd be going, no way. No way. He's just a pushover. So I guess that is.
Aiden Hewitt. What is your favorite kind of sandwich?
I like cheesesteak, but I also like the Italian meats if it's got like salami, like Genoa and mortadella and capicola and prosciutto and provolone. So between a cheesesteak loaded or those two.
Marcus from Germany. What is your favorite non-Exodus thrash song, and what is your favorite Iron Maiden song?
My favorite non-Exodus thrash song would be South of Heaven. Always has been. I love South of Heaven. I just think the way it starts out and the minute you hear it, it's like, holy shit, the world's coming to an end, and I just sense a presence to me. And what was the second part of the question, Wayne?
What is your favorite Iron Maiden song?
Oh, probably Murders in the Rue Morgue. I love that song a lot. I like everything off of Killers. And that's not to say that I don't like anything that Bruce Dickinson does. You just asked me my favorite Iron Maiden song, and it would be Murders in the Rue Morgue. I just love it's really fast, really heavy. The vocals are fired off. I like the riff in there.
Bullet. What is your favorite 80s slasher movie or ghost film?
80s slasher movie would be probably Friday the 13th Part 2, because to me 2 was more, the kills were a little bit more graphic to me in that like when, like the axe in the face, it slowed down and you never saw anything. You know, being a horror guy, you always watched and saw the axe to the face and it was cheesy, but you accepted it for what it was. To me, that was the first time where I really felt that they did it really justice, and they did the kills very, very justice in that. But I love them all. I mean, you know, any of the Halloween, any Freddy of them, especially the first one, any of that stuff.
Brad Duffy from Scotland. What is your ancestry?
Portuguese. My grandparents came from the Azore Islands in the early 1900s to America. My parents, my mom and dad, are first generation Americans. My brother and I and our cousins, obviously, are second generation Americans, Portuguese.
Andy Yates from England. What makes you angry?
Ignorance constantly, and just stupid people, you know, and just, you know, please people, just think before you say stuff, think before you do stuff. It's not that hard, you know. Cool. Well, thanks everybody for the questions. This has been cool sitting here in the vault answering your questions. It's a lot of fun, guys. Thanks.